Hi, I'm Jay Washburn.
I'm Joe Bendowski.
And you're listening to Start Writing.
And today we are going to be talking about Instafreebie, and a lot of this just applies to any giveaway in general. So we'll be covering those. But first we want to kind of cover what the podcast is for anyone who's new. And we are kind of an all-in-one writing podcast. We have episodes on marketing, writing craft, grammar, and vocabulary that are all researched and thoroughly covered in every detail. And then we kind of fill in where our own experience falls short with interviews with authors who are familiar with those areas of the writing process or marketing. So this week in Critiques and Writing True, I just finished Red Rising over the weekend, and so it's a sci-fi future one where people have colonized the worlds, and it's about this uprising rebellion within that empire. And I think one of the things I really liked about it is, particularly in early parts of the book, the main character fails a lot. But it's not just like he fails and then finds a way around it. He has to learn lessons from his failures to be able to conquer them. And I thought it was just really good the way it was done, and it added a lot of depth to the story.
So I have, I guess, a similar one. Well, a couple. So I watched the movie Chappaquiddick, which is about Senator Ted Kennedy being charged for manslaughter.
Okay.
It's a pretty interesting drama, and I have no idea how historically accurate it is, but it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But what I thought was interesting, two things, and there's some spoilers here, but you'll see this in the trailer anyway, plus it's history. But he's driving slightly inebriated, and he drives his car off a bridge, and it flips over, and he had a passenger in there with him, right? So when that moment happens, it actually jumps ahead. You don't see him climb out of the river. He jumps ahead, and he's sitting on the side, and I just thought, what the heck? Like, as a story writer, I got to that moment, and I was like, you didn't drill into what just happened. I could not believe it. But then they surprised me by about halfway through the movie, as he's like, after he's been dealing with his conscience, right? He's struggling with, how do I make the right moral choice here? Without, like, he also wants to survive politically.
Right.
Anyway, then they show the flashbacks, and it's just traumatizing. It somehow worked better to flash back to it later, when it like tied into the emotion he was feeling later on, like the pressure he was getting. Anyway, I just thought that was such an interesting move, and I thought it worked really well. It surprised me how well it worked.
Yeah, well, like, because I'm thinking, like, anytime I've seen that, like, we've seen the incident, and then when they flash back to it, when they're experiencing emotional trauma, you just see things you're always seeing. But what you're saying is the director did not want to repeat the scenes.
Yeah.
So he cut them from the original incident, even though you knew it had to happen. That's how he would have got there, and then put them later on.
And he just drops them at points where it's just really dramatic to, like, relive that. Anyway, I just thought it was unconventional, but it worked really well. Another small thing I'll just throw in from this movie, and it's kind of like what you mentioned, but he's struggling with some moral choices, and he makes some underhanded, like, he doesn't keep his integrity, right? And so that, as a hero, kind of makes you not willing to root for him anymore, right? But then they showed the father, and he's like super eager to impress his father, like to be an exemplary Kennedy instead of a failure. And when they show him meet and interact with his father, the father is just so abusive and disrespectful that even though Ted Kennedy's making these immoral choices, you still have this massive amount of sympathy for him. So, like, he's kind of an anti-hero, but you can still root for him, at least to a degree,
right? Because
of that abuse from his father. Anyway, it's an interesting move that I thought worked really well.
Interesting. Let's talk about Instafreebie. So this specifically is a newsletter for distributing free books, and it's a site too you can go to. But for the most part, They just have a massive newsletter, and so a lot of people, get free books from them. It's where they find out about new authors because they know the books will be free there. And so most authors use it as a way to build their subscriber lists by distributing their lead magnets or partial manuscripts to generate interest. And I think for the most part, as far as a model, they kind of have a monopoly on this. There are other ways, like Amazon, you can get free books on. Same with like Smashwords, and a lot of sites, they have like a whole free books section. But I don't think anyone really has a newsletter list like they do. So I think in the future that may change. But for now, they're kind of the only game in town using this model. And for authors, it works really well to build their list. I know a lot of authors who've built a huge list using Instafreebie. So the first question you kind of want to think about is how much to give away. So when you're uploading your manuscript, you can do a whole manuscript or you can do a partial. And essentially, it comes down to three things. Are you list building, are you review building, or are you interest building? Right? So list building can be done with full or partial manuscripts, but full manuscripts are more effective. And then if you need more reviews, then you'll want to be giving away the full manuscript there and try and drive those people to give you those reviews. But, more people will get the full manuscript that way. So it's a better way to generate reviews to give away the full. And so this can kind of be done two ways for generating reviews. You can give the full manuscript away on Instafreebie, or you can give away a partial there, and then in the email you send them, offer them the full one for a review. So you can kind of go either way there. And then interest building is, of course, about giving away a partial. And that's if you've got a big subscriber list, and so you're not interested in giving away the whole manuscript. Maybe this is your 8th book or something. But it's just a way to get more people interested in it. Maybe you're starting a new series or something, so you can give away that partial to get people interested and drive new traffic to Amazon or wherever it is you're selling your book at. So, for example, my book is currently on Amazon, and I'm enrolled in KDP. And so I can only give away 10% of the novel. That's my contract with them. And so that has to be a partial on there. However, I still can give away ARCs, and so people who sign up for the Instafreebie, I then get their emails and I can contact them and ask them if they'd be willing to receive a review copy in exchange for an honest review. And so that's kind of the model I'm using because I'm trying to build reviews, but I am contracted with Amazon and limited to that 10% as far as just a raw giveaway. Like I said, I can still give away review copies. And so I will contact people who sign up and make them an offer of a review copy.
So every single person whose email you get, you automatically send them an email that says, I'll give you an advanced reader copy.
In exchange for a review.
Yeah.
And so
every single person.
Every single person, yeah. So I make that offer to all of them. And my goal is 100 reviews. After 100 reviews, that will stop. And so and then the goal will just be rolling these over into sales. But the goal is 100 reviews. So yeah, so like I said, that's what I'm doing because I'm already on Amazon. I'm in KDP and I do have that limitation. That's how I've approached the process. So like I said, there's a lot of different ways to kind of do it, but that's, you can do the partial or you can do the full. And if you're not, limited to 10%, you can do a bigger partial than that if you wanted to. So I'm going to mention briefly May 5th EU email changes, the new regulations going into place there.
May 25th.
Yeah, May 25th. Sorry, May 25th, not May 5th. So Instafreebie is a third party. They are collecting these emails. They will be responsible for compliance with those new regulations, not you through them. However, if you are giving away stuff on your website, your book or whatever, you are in charge of compliance with that. But as far as Instafreebie goes and their model and compliance, that's all on them, not you. So,
do you happen to know what these compliance changes include?
I have read a bunch on it. But there's a lot of big name authors who have approached it. They've done YouTube videos with their lawyers next to them. And I would say go check that out. I'm not a lawyer. I've just, read up on about it, and I didn't want to spend a whole ton of time on it here. Yeah. So I do recommend, Nick Stevenson, I think, is the big one I know. He did one with his lawyer there to explain everything, and he lives in the UK. So it's a bigger deal for him than if you're living in the States. But like I said, most of us do most our business on the internet, and if someone in the EU can access your website and get a hold of your giveaway, you need to be in compliance for those reasons. So like I said, we're not going to go into it here. There are better forms of education on this. We don't have a lawyer here to explain it and say this is what you do, this is what you don't do. So, okay. So let's go back to Instafreebie. So the next thing you need to look at is, so you've set up this giveaway. The next thing you need is distribution. And this is almost going to be entirely through social media. And so if you put up a giveaway and no one knows about it, you will get no return on that investment, that time, that free book, nothing. Almost nobody's going to know about it. You're not going to get any new subscribers. And even if you post it all over your social media, those people probably already know about your books. They probably already know you're an author. So again, you're not going to get a lot of traction. So what they have is giveaway groups. And these are usually organized by genre, historical fiction, thrillers, romance, maybe even more specific historical romance. And what happens is a group of authors is we all put our giveaways into one big group, and then we all promote the whole group. And so what that does is that drives my social media traffic to other authors and theirs to me. And that is where the power of Instafreebie really starts to work, is tapping into all those other giveaways in exchange for them tapping into yours. So I launched a giveaway on Friday, and I've had over 100 signups to my newsletter since then. So it's been pretty effective. It'll run the whole month. And then I have a featured one that will launch on the 8th of May. So you'll have more information there. But yeah, and so the real power of the Instafreebie is when you join these groups, or you can even create a group for your genre, and then you start tapping other authors' social networks. It's kind of like newsletter swaps, but you're probably going to get a bigger pull, because usually newsletter swaps is about selling books, and people are less likely to spend money than sign up for a giveaway. So the basic principles of book marketing still apply. You need a good cover. You need a good blurb. You need to communicate your genre effectively. In fact, Jay and I were just looking at some of the giveaway groups and the number of books claimed, each into one, and you can tell poorly done covers or covers that look off genre have fewer claims, right? And I think the blurb is definitely going to factor in there as well. So, even if you go through all of this, if you don't have a really sharp cover and are, communicating your core genre effectively, then you're probably not going to get a lot of claims.
Yeah, so we were looking through Joe's group, and there's 25 different books in this list, and each one just has a little tag over it that shows the downloads. And yeah, you can see that when it's a history group and the cover looks like a steamy romance, it's the wrong audience, even if it's a great cover. So we've talked about all this before, but you see the effect of it.
In fact, there was even, I put together a thriller group, and a lot of them are guns and chases and stuff like that. The stuff you expect on a thriller cover. And one of the submissions is just a bare-chested cowboy. And, they're listing it as action adventure, but the cover looks like romance, and I'm pretty sure he's romance then action adventure.
Yeah.
And so, I can put him in the group, but I don't think he'll do well, because we are marketing that to people who want thrillers. Like, all the social media we've generated for the group is targeted at people who'd be interested in action-packed thrillers, not really romances. And so I expect he will not get a lot of claims, because he's off genre a little bit, at least as far as his cover goes, right? Like most books, you can kind of put into at least 3 genres. Mine's historical, mine's a thriller, and mine's a hard science. Those are my 3 core groups. Anywhere else, I'm going to do poorly, because if you look at the cover and you read the blurb, it doesn't really fit in those other groups.
So does Instafreebie send out these groups to their email subscribers?
Okay.
Or is this only promoted through the author cohort?
So I have 3 giveaways running right now. Well, I guess over the course of May, I'll have 3 giveaways. 2 of them are not, Instafreebie will not do anything to promote. That's all just the authors doing it. The 3rd one was selected to be featured. So they'll send that out in their Friday email to everyone. So all the authors.
So that's probably going to hit.
So that we expect that one to be the big hitter. Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, so they do have a featured, and we'll even talk about that later. So when you're talking about your social media distribution and submitting to these giveaway groups, remember the basic principles of book marketing: cover, blurb, audience. So let's talk about. So a lot of this is just going to be about kind of the functioning of social media. So the first thing we want to talk about is the half-lives of social media. So a half-life is basically telling us when any post is half dead. So if we're talking about Twitter, the half-life of a tweet is 24 minutes, which means that 50% of all people who will ever see that post will see it within 24 minutes. We double that to 48. 75% of everyone who will ever see it has seen that post in 48 minutes. They die quickly. If we look at Facebook, it's 90 minutes, and then that 75% mark is at 3 hours. Instagram, 2 and 4. Here's the crazy one. Pinterest, 3.5 months.
What the?
Yeah, it's a whole nother animal. Pinterest
that's crazy.
So I think part of it is just the nature of pins, the way they network, the algorithms behind it. And part of it is it's not like a heavy traction site. I don't think people spend endless hours on Pinterest the way they do on Facebook and Twitter. Yeah, so what you want to do is, as you're trying to schedule out your promotions, look at these half-lives. And I basically say you really want to be almost promoting again around that 75% mark. So Twitter, and a tweet every hour. Facebook every 3 hours. Now, we don't just want to be spamming non-stop. You have what are called peak posting times. Now so I use a social media scheduler that will tell me these times. And what it does is it goes through everyone in your social media and looks at roughly what time they're posting and says, cool. This is when your audience is most likely to be online.
What's this app called?
So it's called Hootsuite. I'll talk about it a little bit more in a little bit. But yeah, so what you want to do is find out what are peak posting times for your audience. And then I would say, let's circle those. So if it's 6 p.m. is yours, and I think my audience is 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. People check Facebook and Twitter when they first get up, and then again when they get home from work is what I'm seeing, right? And so then what we do is we want to kind of circle that so that if any retweeting and sharing is going on, can be pushed through that optimal time, and then we get a tail end. So if it's 6 p.m., then I'm probably going to release my first tweet at 5, my second one at 6, and my third at 7. And then I won't release anything until the next morning, circling that next peak time. So you kind of want to circle those peak times. And then with Facebook, because it's a 3 hour, I would probably release that at 5 because 90 minutes is that first half-life. So I can probably just release the one at 5 and that will cover the whole spectrum, and then another one at 5 a.m. the next morning. Right? And so Instagram, it's at 2 hours. It's similar to Facebook. So I'd probably just say, take your time, roll it back 1 hour. You tweet, Facebook, Instagram, and then you tweet an hour later and an hour later. Now, you don't want to be going back to social media to do all of this, nor do you want to be going to 5 different sites to get all of this out, which is why I recommend a social media scheduler. Oh, before we go to the social media scheduler, we want to talk about one more thing, which is image development. So Twitter did a study and they found that images get 5 times more attention and clicks than if it's just text. And so you're almost always going to want to convert any of your promotional stuff into some kind of image. And so there's a lot of sites that'll use it for you. The big one is Canva, which I use, and they have a bunch of images you can use, or you can upload your own, and then you can add text and different stuff like that to create a really sharp image that's the optimal size for whatever social media you're releasing on. And in fact, they even have one size called social media that I think actually generates several different types depending on where it gets posted. And so that is a great way to build images. And I actually find that Canva will offer you a bunch of free images when you can do various searches and a bunch of paid ones. But you can upload your own. And so if you go to a site like Unsplash, where you can get free photos that have been uploaded, I feel like you get much better images there. And then you can upload them to Canva and manipulate them there to produce that optimal social media image. And so I know that sounds a little complex. There is actually a video tutorial on all of this, from uploading your book to all of what we're talking about here on the YouTube site. So you can, if you're getting a little bogged down here on the technical stuff, you can actually just see it done visually for you there. So once we've got our group and a bunch of authors we're going to be sharing social media with, and then we've developed our images, then we can do a social media scheduler. So like I said, the one I use is called Hootsuite.
And that's not just Twitter.
No.
Does them all.
No, you can link in you link in whatever accounts you want to use. So mine will go to Instagram, mine will go to Facebook, mine will go to Twitter.
Wait, you can post on Instagram.
So what it does is it basically sends something to my phone, and then I have to click yes, and then it posts it to Instagram. It's a little bit of a hassle compared to the others. So otherwise it posts to everything else that's linked in there. So not only can I do that all at once, I can also schedule it out. So I can sit down and say, release the tweet, the Facebook, the Instagram at 5, and then I can schedule another tweet to go out at 6 and another at 7, and then I can schedule the next morning. I can schedule the whole week out in one sitting. So it's really great that way. The free version, you can schedule 30 posts, and then I don't know what the upgrade gives you, probably unlimited. But yeah, and so another great thing about the social media scheduler is it does tell you where's your peak engagement time periods. The next thing we're going to talk about is sharing impacts. And so that's whether a post is being shared or retweeted. So if you talk to the other authors who are in your group, you can even kind of set up, be like, hey, instead of scheduling on Tuesday, why don't you hit up the retweets? Right? So you hit up 2 or 3 authors and you retweet their tweets about the group, and that will, put those tweets on your page as though you'd created new ones, but also give theirs a boost because now they've been retweeted. And so it's a better way to kind of boost the whole group that way. So you can do a similar thing with shares on Facebook, just informing each other, hey, I put up a post about the group. Here's the link. If you want to share it, that'd be great. And finally, we have Facebook promotion groups. So there are hundreds of these groups on Facebook. Mostly, there'll be several will be dedicated. You'll get 20 or 30 dedicated to a specific genre. And these are people just looking for either discounts on books or free books. And so you can post your giveaways there as well to reach more people.
Have you had particular success on that?
A little, not a ton. I've only done it to like 3, but other people have done it to 4 or 5, which is part of the reason I haven't done it to a lot is because I know other people are posting on different groups.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the collaborative nature of the groups sounds really cool.
Yeah, because we're all trying to just reach as many people as possible. And the best way we do that is just other people reaching their audiences, and we all drive traffic to the same place. So then getting featured, as we mentioned this before, as you can go out in their email. There was another writer who actually mentioned she was not her group was selected for a giveaway, but her book was selected for 1 week on their homepage for giveaway. And this really comes down to 2 things: the quality of your cover and your blurb. So when we're talking about a group, it's all about the cover image you put for the group. And when we're talking about getting the book featured, it's the cover and the blurb. And so it's almost all image driven. They just want, books that look really sharp on that homepage or in their emails. So, and yeah, that is Instafreebie. As I said, a lot of what we've covered here is kind of more technical stuff. There's a YouTube video. If you go to Joseph Bendosky on YouTube, it's the most recent video, and then if we've uploaded another one by then, it's just the Instafreebie tutorial. Talks about the whole process.
Cool. You want me to wrap us up?
Yeah, why don't you wrap us up? I feel like I just kind of like...
No, this is really interesting, and I can see it being very effective. It's cool that you've, just in the last couple of days, already gotten some results.
Yeah.
Like that makes me excited about it. That's cool. Okay, guys. Please leave us a review on iTunes or on your podcasting platform of choice. Tell your friends about us if you think they would enjoy this podcast. And if you'd like to support us, check out one of our books. If you subscribe to our newsletter, you can get keywords which you can use for Amazon ads. And these are gold, so you should really sign up for that. If you'd like us to critique your blurb, we'd love to include that in an episode, so send that over to us. And if you have any suggestions or comments about what you'd like us to change or topics you want us to look into, shoot us your ideas and we'll dive into those.
That's the end of our episode, so it's time to start writing.